After practicing with me or by yourself the accusative, you feel pretty confident and happy. Maybe you're even thinking, German is not so hard, I can handle the accusative, and you're feeling really good. That's a good thing. I'm glad to hear that. But unfortunately, we have to go one step further. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Don't be scared, I'm sorry about the intro. Today, as you can see, we will try to find a way to put the dative into our knowledge, which will evaluate your German a lot more and will give you more insight into how the language is built. So let's start. Before we start the grammar, I want to say two things. The first one is, of course, why do we need the dative? We learned the accusative. Why is there another way to change the object? Just keep in mind that different verbs and prepositions need dative or accusative. Some prepositions even can take both. It depends. If you want to Google that, it is called Wechselpräposition. I can write it in the comments below. So do not panic. It's really not that big of a deal. And if you want to listen to my advice, try to learn a verb with the correct pattern. If it has a preposition or if not, learn all the possible ways. Later, you will not struggle that much. First example, you want to say to know, you know the infinitive kennen, then you have to learn jemanden kennen, to know somebody. This kind of somebody will be the object, and in this case, it will be an accusative. Jemanden kennen. Second example, here is a preposition, mit, in English with. How do you use it? Of course, if you want to say, for example, with somebody, mit jemandem. You can see it here. I will talk about it, of course, even further, that this is dative. And later you will not have to think about it. You will just put it into use. This is my advice. Take it or leave it, your choice. And now we will check out the grammar behind it. Okay, the first one will be the definite article here. Robert hat ein Problem mit dem Computer. They gave you here also an example with a preposition, the same one I gave you an example with, mit. Mit needs dative, and the dative changes the definite article, mit dem Computer. Another example, Maria hilft Robert. Maria helps Robert. Here also we have a verb that requires dative, but in this case, it's not visible because when you have a name, we usually don't say an article. We don't say Maria hilft dem Robert. It sounds like baby language. We don't say it. But we need to know it is an object and it is dative. I will give you the color pattern I usually like to do to make it easier to visualize it. So the normal sentence we learned before is the subject, verb, object, and in this case a dative object. So, ich danke dem Großvater. I thank the grandfather. The grandfather is of course male because we know biological gender is also the grammar gender. So masculine, and der becomes dem. I can write it down here so you can see. Der becomes dem. Next one. Du antwortest der Reporterin. You're answering the female reporter. Feminine, female, der. Die in nominative becomes der. Don't confuse this der here with the der in nominative male. It looks the same, but it isn't. Next one. Er hilft dem Mädchen. He helps the girl. Neutral, dem. So das in neutral, das Mädchen, the girl, becomes dem Mädchen. And the last one, wir helfen den Leuten. We help the people. This is plural. We have to put den and we have to add the n for the plural. So this is the main part you have to learn by heart. It's not so bad, is it? The next one is the undefinite article. If you're unfamiliar with any of those things, I did other videos on that. You can watch my other lessons because I teach chronologically. So if you watch from zero, from lesson 1, step by step, this here should not be too complicated. So indefinite article, same pattern, subject, verb, and object. But in this case, we say, ich danke einem Freund. I am thanking a friend. So male is einem. It looks a little similar. Ich antworte einer Journalistin. I'm answering a female journalist. So female becomes einer. Gratuliert einem Mädchen. He congratulates a girl. Neutral becomes einem, like the male one. And for plural, wir helfen Leuten. So nothing here, like the plural in nominative, but we still have to make it visible that we talk about plural by putting the n. So in nominative, ein Freund, in dative, einem Freund. Female, eine becomes einer. Neutral, ein becomes einem. If you learn this little summary by heart, you're doing yourself a big favor. This is the first part of learning the dative. So now let's practice. We have an example. Reporter, journalist, male one, because we know the female one would have the en at the end. So the sentence, du antwortest dem Reporter. We see it's male, der Reporter, der becomes dem. We just practiced that. And now we can say it. And the pattern is, of course, like before, subject and the verb and the object. Okay, try to do the same pattern with the other examples here. And I will see you in a second. Okay, let's compare. Du antwortest der Lehrerin. Female, it becomes der. You answer to the teacher or you answer the teacher. Du antwortest der Tante, also female. Du antwortest den Leuten. You're answering to the people. Du antwortest dem Freund. You're answering the friend. Du antwortest den Eltern. You're answering the parents, plural. Du antwortest den Kindern. You're answering the children. Du antwortest das Mädchen becomes dem Mädchen. You're answering the girl. Du antwortest dem Lehrer. You're answering the teacher, male. But because it is die Lehrer in nominative, we are not sure which their meaning. We have two possibilities. So I gave you the second one. Du antwortest den Lehrern, plural. This is just it. You have to know which one is neutral, female, male, plural, and then how to change it from the nominative into the dative. This is it actually. In our next exercise, we need to know the why. What I mean is, what verbs do need a dative object in the first place? So you can learn all those verbs here need a dative object. I will give you time in a second to do the exercise. You can press pause. A thing to say is that in the first little box here, we have the subject being a person and the object being also a person. Like we did before, I know him, but he doesn't know me and stuff like that. This was accusative. So subject person and the object is a person. The second one is an unpersonal thing, Sache, we say in German, and the object being the person. So take your time, do the exercise, and then we will compare. Okay, let's read. Paul antwortet dem Professor. Paul answers the professor. Dankt der Tante. He thanks the aunt. Ich glaube der Reporterin. I believe the journalist. Du gratulierst dem Onkel. You congratulate the uncle. Vertraut dem Großvater. He trusts the grandfather. Ich verzeihe dem Freund. I forgive the friend. Der Student hört der Professorin zu. The student listens to the professor, to the female professor. And here we have an opening verb. Just saying. This was the first part. Now we have subjects that are unpersonal. Let's read that. Das Eis schmeckt den Kindern. Schmecken is a funny verb. It's really hard to translate. We would say in English, the ice cream tastes good to the children. Den Kindern, plural. Schmecken, in this case, means to taste good to somebody. It's a long and wordy translation, I know, but there is no other way to say it. Es schmeckt dem Mann, so the man likes the taste of it. It is the subject, and it tastes good to somebody. And the somebody is the person or the object that receives the sensation of having something tasty. Do you know what I mean? So you have to imagine it in this order. Let's go to the next one. Das Buch gehört dem Lehrer. The book belongs to the teacher. Die Musik gefällt der Studentin. The music is likable by the student, female student. So the student likes the music. Die Hose passt dem Mädchen. The pants are fitting for the girl. So the girl fits into the pants, we would say in English. So you see, some combinations are hard to translate because languages are different from each other. Big surprise. So you have to learn it just as a pattern. And you will, of course, practice it many times in the future. It's just the first lesson with dative. Before we finish, I want to say something which looks really trivial and really not important, but it is. So you have here the sentence, ich helfe der Studentin. And now maybe you think, this isn't so hard. I know, first one will be the subject, second one will be the verb, and then the third one will be the object. Easy. But it's not always like that because the positions are interchangeable, if that's a word. In the example here, das Essen schmeckt den Leuten. The food tastes good to the people. Position 1, the subject, the verb, of course, position 2, and position 3 is our dative object. But for emphasis or for other reasons we will learn in the future, we can also switch it around. Den Leuten schmeckt das Essen. This is also a super normal and natural way to say it. It doesn't sound strange or anything. It's really common to switch it. So I'm just giving you this information so you don't rely on the position to know if something is nominative, dative, accusative. It can change. You have to learn it by the articles. This is it for today. Good job. I hope it wasn't too complicated. Leave your questions, your your feedback in the comments below. You can follow us on Instagram. I try to post announcements or other quiz and other fun stuff. Thank you so much for watching. Don't give up, even though things are really starting to boil up. But this is the fun part of learning a language. I will see you next week. Bye.